It was important to me to be able to do something beyond common labor, because I could see what common labor could do to people's lives, both their health, and there's a lot of stress that comes out of poverty.
Bill Pack was a senior investment executive turned novelist. How he grew out of his roots of poverty to the riches of Wall Street and gave all that up for a career in writing. Next on the Forbes.com Video Network.
The only books we had whatsoever between the shack that we lived in and the one my grandparents lived in was that somebody decided when I was about 7 years old to buy a set of encyclopedias from a traveling salesman and pay on time. And I read those cover to cover to cover to cover to cover to cover over a lot of years.
Bill Pack didn't have much growing up in rural Montana, where he lived with his grandparents part of the time, who built their home out of a chicken coop. But this high school dropout found his way to Wall Street as a stockbroker at age 21 and moved up the ladder to executive vice president of the Northern California division of what at the time was Citigroup Smith Barney, now known as Morgan Stanley Smith Barney, all without a college education.
What made the difference for me is that I was lucky enough to be pretty smart, but there are a lot of smart people out there. I think I don't give up when it's unreasonable to continue. I think most people get to a point in their life where they're trying to accomplish an endeavor, trying to be very, very good at something. And before they break through, it becomes overwhelming. The evidence becomes overwhelming that they should stop. They should go do something else. It is more reasonable, more logical to do something else. And I don't. Don't stop when it becomes unreasonable to most people to continue, if you believe you're doing something that's worthwhile. And I think that makes all the difference.
Despite his success in finance, it wasn't his passion. He always wanted to be a novelist, outlining his first manuscript at age 22. It wasn't until he got sick at the age of 43 when he decided to follow his dream.
I hadn't taken a vacation in many years, and I'm the kind of guy, once again, who's, even at that age, was still working from the time I got up to the time I went to sleep. It's just the way I'm built. And the cumulative effect of that made me very, very ill. I lost about 20 pounds in 3 weeks and was in some pain, had difficulty eating. And so I took some time off. I took a couple weeks off, and I remember standing in the backyard and talking with my wife and saying, you know, I'm just never going to go back.
Instead, with his youngest of 4 children at age 7, his oldest starting graduate work, Pack took the SATs for the first time and got into Stanford. There he majored in anthropological sciences, not necessarily the path you'd expect from an aspiring novelist.
When I took archaeology, anthropological sciences, I had another point from which to navigate. You know, I had my years in poverty, I had my years on Wall Street, I had my years as an archaeologist and won a bunch of stuff for that, and then my years as a novelist. The more things you see, the more valid your viewpoint of the world in general. And that applies to every endeavor you do from that point forward. You have a better sense of what's real.
Pack's first novel, Bottom of the Sky, which uses his path in life from rural Montana to Wall Street to write a fictional story about abuse of power at all levels of society, is now in its second printing. He's just begun working on his second book, finally fulfilling his life's dream of writing full-time.
When the novel The Bottom of the Sky was written, there were some things in there that seem prescient now with what's going on in our economy. When the next one's written, not only will it have an archaeological setting, but I think there'll be some discussion there on this great tsunami of inflation that hits, because I don't think it's avoidable.